Hey, it's Justin. Really quickly, I got some news. So, a lot of you don't know this, but some of you do, that I served in the military. In 1999 to 2003, I served in the United States Air Force. I had a good run, a good enlistment. However, during my enlistment, I was raped by another man. Um, How it happened was one night at a club. It was actually the 501 Club in Florida, off Florida Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C., which is no longer there. Um, I believe it was on a Friday or Saturday night. I can't remember, honestly. I mean, honestly, if I looked through the report, I could probably find it. Um, so I trusted the wrong person. They wanted to go to. His name was Mike. He wanted to, or his, AKA his street name was BrownSuga, but his real name was Mike. He said, "Do you want to go get something to eat after the club?" I said, "Sure, no problem." "Yeah, I'll do that. I'm hungry." So he said, "Well, we didn't stop by my house to get some money." And I said, "Okay, no problem." Of course, I should have wondered why he needed to go get money when he was already at the club spending money. And I didn't really put two and two together. I was 21 years old at the time. I'm 43 now. We got to his house in Southeast DC, or what I thought was his house, and he got out of the car. 15 minutes later, he got back into the car. It was very dark. Some houses were boarded up, which in Southeast DC, that's not surprising at that time. And he held a knife to my. He asked me to kiss him, and I said no. And then he held a knife to the side of my ribs, or to my ribs, and said, "Kiss me now." And so I did. Of course, there's a lot more going on at this time, meaning like um, thrashing about, like grabbing, and then he held the knife to my neck and said, "Pull down your pants." And he proceeded to. At this time, I didn't move because I think I was frozen, um, and I didn't know what to do. So, under being threatened with being stabbed in my neck or killed, um, I pulled down my pants, and he pulled down my driver's seat and proceeded to rape me. Um, so after it was over, um, he told me to get out of the car, and I said no. So he got out of the car because he had my car keys already in his hand. He tried to unlock my car using this because at that time I didn't have remote for my car, so he tried to put the key in, and I pushed the door open like really hard, kicked it open so he fell back, and I proceeded to grab the keys. We fought over the keys. He bit me on my hand. Um, my clothes were ripped off. Like, it was like, I don't even, like, my clothes were basically, um, I could even barely get them back on because they were ripped so much. So I eventually got away from him, and I saw houses. I started knocking on the houses. I was like, "Please let me in, please let me in, please let me in." And at this time, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and of course, nobody wants to let you in their house in Southeast DC in the year 2001 because you're banging on their door, asking, screaming for help. Southeast DC at that time was not, or at least the part that I was in wasn't pleasant. So he ran after me because he saw me knocking on people's cars. He had something in his pocket. I can only imagine that it was the way that it was formed in his fight. It looked like a gun to me, but it could have been the knife that he had been already used to threaten me. So he tried to run me down, and I believe he tried to kill me. And I eventually was able to outrun him. He wasn't as I guess you could say agile as I was. He was kind of heavy set. And I got to a Metro bus. The Metro bus driver said, "What the heck is going on?" I said, "I was raped. I need to go to the police. Can you help me?" He said, "There's a police station on the way." I said, "Okay." So got to the police station, called my friend Kevin. My friend Kevin came to the police station to support me, and the police interrogated me like I was the person who did it. It was just like, it didn't feel as though that they were treating me like a victim or they even cared. Then Kevin was with me when I went to Howard University Hospital to get a painful rape kit done, which I don't know if you guys have heard that it's painful. Then my friend Andre came, and Andre drove me all the way up to Dover, Delaware, because I was stationed at Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. My performance went down. Even my dad called and was like, "What is going on with you? How come I keep hearing you're fucking up in the military and blah 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 blah?" And I'm like, he didn't ask me what was wrong. He just said, "Yeah, you almost got kicked out, I heard." And I said, "How did you hear?" And he said, "I called." And I said, "Well, why didn't you ask me what happened rather than assuming that the one story that you're going to hear is the correct one?" So, not feeling as though I was supported in the way that I needed to be supported, or anybody asking me what the problem is, not what I did wrong. So, and he's done that several times. So anyway, I kept that in for 20-something years. So then last year I worked on a project called Serve with Pride, and it highlights LGBTQ veterans who served under Don't Ask, Don't Pride, and the film again is called Serve with Pride. It'll be probably coming out later on this year. And I told my story, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, I didn't know you had disability." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have 10%. He was like, 10% after telling us what you went through? And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you need to probably get this looked at." I said, "What do you mean? And like, have you ever been diagnosed with PTSD? I said, "No." He said, "Okay, well, let me tell you about some people called the Disabled American Veterans Unit, which does help with, or association does help with helping veterans with their claims." So I put in a claim for PTSD, and I put in a claim for a lot of other things too. And I had to track down a 20-year-old police report. They didn't have it at first, but then I remembered when the police report happened in my car, they took my car for fingerprinting, and I had called forensics, and they had a copy of the report on the forensics report of my car. Justin Brooks Smith, or this JBS, they say, black male reports that S1, which is the suspect 1, forced him anal and oral sex against his will, threatened to stab him, and so he complied to SF1's demands. SC1, which I guess is me, was dropped by 7D by the Metro bus driver after he had relayed what happened to him. And I guess S1 Mike Jones. Oh shit. Yeah. That's his name. So Mike is my rapist. Mike Jones is my rapist, which is interesting. Because I never really said his name out loud like that. Then I had to find my rape kit from Howard University Hospital. And, every single time I look through this, I remember the painful part of going through an actual rape kit. It's very painful. It hurts so bad. Like, so bad. So that being said, I compiled I compiled pages of evidence in my claim. Here's my claim folder, my personal claim folder that I personally did. I turned it into the VA. And on my birthday, December 27th, 2022, they came back with a decision that came back in my favor. So I feel vindicated after all these years of having to justify my performance in the military, how I was, some people called me a dirtbag airman, and I wasn't. It was just that I was raped, and of course, you call me this, and of course I had PTSD. So, I feel vindicated in a way. So, yeah, all I can say is the decision was made on my birthday, which was interesting, which was kind of magical to me. And then I found out that literally 3 days ago, as I'm eating sushi, looking through my Facebook feed, a friend of mine says, we lost another person in the LGBTQ community, blah, 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 blah. And I saw him and I said, oh my God, that's my rapist. And there were so many feelings that came up to me. I called my friend and I was like, hey, do you know that was my rapist? And he was like, no, I didn't. I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah. And so she took it down. She did. She's like, I just don't want to be associated. And I was like, I understand. And he's dead. So I found out that he had been murdered. My rapist was murdered in front of the White House. He was homeless. So he lost his home. He supposedly he got into a fight with another homeless person or homeless man, and he killed him. He killed him with a pipe. They found his body at the ellipse of the White House, which is where the Christmas tree light or White House Christmas tree is. His body was found there. So they found that he had been beaten to death with a pipe. I think it was like a metal pipe. And I was eating sushi and I had a glass of wine and I said, can I have another glass? And of course the server was like, sure, no problem. But I'm like, okay, so is this a closure glass, a celebratory glass, or what is this? And I said, I don't really know how to feel about this. And then I said, you know what? I don't need to know how to feel about this. This is really, I mean, I guess I do need to know, but this isn't, it's comme ci, comme ça for me. He's dead. It's closure for me. I'm still gonna have some PTSD around it, but he's dead. He is dead. And the way that he died, you know, it's like somebody said this, like, I could only hope he thought, you know, the bad shit that he had done before he died. And I said, well, I don't think he thought that at all, probably, before he died. He probably didn't think of anything, you know, other than trying to fight off his attacker. Kind of the same way that I thought, fighting off my attacker. Kind of the kind of way that I thought that I was going to die. I just was able to get away. Because I forgot to tell you, after my rape the next morning, they found the car next to mine burned to crisp. They had lit it on fire. They were going to do that to me. So, again, am I happy? Am I sad? No. Do I feel vindicated? Yeah, I do. Also, kind of like, you know what? Fuck 'em.